What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new Justin Timberlake album, Man of the Woods. So, Justin Timberlake is back with his fifth studio album, Man of the Woods. I am back as well. I have been fighting a cold for a while. I wanted to do this review a little bit earlier than I'm doing it now, but whatever. The album is still pretty new-ish. But anyway, as is the apparent thing for 2018, Men of the Woods is a very divisive album amongst fans and people and music lovers or whatever. Based on what I could tell, it seems to be another one of these albums that you either love and if you don't like it, you never even heard music before, or you hate it and it's the worst thing to happen to pop music ever. I think it was Pitchfork went as far as to say that we should reevaluate Justin Timberlake as an artist. Maybe he sucked this whole time. That seems to be a little extreme. Pitchfork. Personally, I'm more on the side leaning towards it's not so great. I guess it's okay. Which is unfortunate because I think there are quite a few pretty strong moments on this album. But overall, there's 16 songs here. And there's just too much, either not necessarily bad songs, but just like incomplete feeling songs or just weird, experimental type moments that overall make for a not so great package. Which, like I said, there are some really great standouts, which have had me kind of teetering back and forth on how I feel about the album. They just haven't been enough to really save it because of how many tracks there are that are pretty lackluster. A lot of the immediate backlash came from the fact that this is not a country album, despite, the name Man of the Woods, the marketing that went into it. I could definitely say that Justin totally overblew this Man of the Woods thing. He had people pretty convinced that this was going to be like more of a country record, which would be something totally different from him. His usual style since, his solo career started has been an R&B type feel, much in the vein of Michael Jackson or Prince or maybe even Marvin Gaye. Those influences, heavily being featured on his records. So a country album would have been quite the departure, but definitely seemed to be one that Justin was like basically just plainly saying he was doing. You had like promos of him in a field or like by a fire and like wearing flannel. The album cover, he's like in the trees, like totally overblown concept because this is not a country album. The closest we get to that is the song Say Something with Chris Stapleton, which I think is one of the highlights on here. But really, I'm not hearing it in many other places at all. It mostly sticks along that usual kind of R&B type thing, playing around with more so different types of instrumentation than he's used to rather than different genres. A lot of the times, for instance, look at Midnight Summer Jam and Sauce as two examples. You're just getting what he would almost normally do, but with some added live instruments like guitars and stuff like that. These two songs in particular are a problem I have with them. Though they're kind of enjoyable, like some of the better stuff on here, they just feel incomplete. Like I know the song is called Midnight Summer Jam, but it does just feel like a jam. The same thing with Sauce. It feels like it's not really going anywhere in particular, it just kind of stays the course. But yeah, the country thing, totally overblown. And that wasn't really a problem for me on the onset at all, because I'm not a country fan. I didn't really care for the idea of Justin Timberlake doing a country album. Though the fact that Say Something is one of the standouts on here for me maybe suggests that could have been somewhat decent. But I don't know if I would like a whole album of that. I think the one song works just fine. I think Justin and Chris Stapleton's vocals, work really well together. They harmonize really well together. And this is overall a pretty uplifting, catchy song. And I do like the acoustic guitar on here. But from there, the Man of the Woods idea only really seems to come up in a lyrical sense. And it seems pretty forced from time to time. I can appreciate the idea of him as just a content, married guy, writing about his wife, writing about his kid, trying to just do a stripped down approach and a back to basics type thing, talking about the simple things in life. But I think that kind of works in instances like the hard stuff in Young Man, a fairly touching ode to his son, talking to him, and the hard stuff, talking about his relationship with his wife, and, overall, making for a pretty solid ballad. But apart from that, when the Man of the Woods, when the kind of back to basics approach comes into the lyrics, it's kind of weird, it's kind of forced. The song Man of the Woods itself, instrumentally going for a almost doo-wop kind of thing. But that and Living Off the Land, the lyrics just seem kind of forced to me. The idea of him just like doing manual labor. That's not how he makes his living, we know that. And I'm sure he relates to it. I'm not saying he's not a hardworking person. But it just seems like too on the nose, I guess. And speaking of the lyrics kind of being on the nose, Breeze Off the Pond, which I think musically is one of the better songs on here, but again, the lyrics are just kind of naming things in nature. Breeze off the pond, trees over there. And one more complaint I'll throw before getting into the stuff I do generally like. Supplies has not grown on me. It did for a second. It did for a little second, and then it has gone back to being pretty annoying. It's definitely the most modern sounding song on here, having those trap influences, but I just can't get over the supplies. Surprisingly enough, I think I'm the only person who likes Filthy. Probably just me and Justin Timberlake. I like that song. I don't really know why. I feel like there's plenty of reasons not to like it. The weird vocal delivery, not a lot of lyrics going on here. You know, the electronic noisy stuff does kind of get in the way, but overall I just kind of enjoy the song. It has a nice beat to it. I love the underlying bass line. I think that's what really sells it for me. My favorite song on here is definitely Higher Higher. I love the kind of smooth, R&B, almost disco-like feel. Adding to that idea, the sort of Bee Gees inspired falsetto vocals from Justin on here, really good. Goes through multiple very melodic sections, and the vocal lines just seem to get more and more melodic as it goes on. And I love that kind of burning guitar tone. It just makes for a really solid track. And Montana I really like, and it is actually fairly similar to Higher Higher in its delivery, but again, makes for a really good song. Oh, and I almost forgot the song Flannel. I cannot take that one seriously because I was listening to it, and I knew it sounded like something I had heard before, and I'm pretty sure it is exactly like the fun song from SpongeBob. Listen to that, and you won't be able to unhear it. And I also do kind of like Morning Light, the song with Alicia Keys. It has a nice kind of gospel soul type of feel to it, the way the vocals are delivered anyway. And the song Wave isn't bad. I really like the bass line on there again. Another song that is sold to me on the bass line. Even though those kind of staccato upstroke guitar things get a little messy. Overall, I think it has like a nice smooth sort of feel to it. Yeah, so Man of the Woods, I mean, obviously not his best work. Definitely not the worst thing in the world, as, some would have you think. And there's those standout moments like Higher Higher, Montana, even Filthy, kind of make me want to like the album more. I just think those other songs, and there's just too many of them, that just don't really hold up. So while there are a handful of songs that I genuinely like and I would see myself going back to, the album as a whole, I'm feeling like a 2.5 out of 5. I don't think I could really justify going any higher than that, only because I like a handful of songs a lot. Especially because the album's so long. Maybe if it was shorter, I don't know. So let me know what you think of the album in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. And thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.